Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Gianluca Massi speaking on the behalf of the Virtual Telescope project from Rome, and we are pleased to be here tonight, ready to share with you live images of the Beaver Supermoon, the largest full moon of the year. While I'm opening this feed, I'm just checking that everything is up and running in order to provide you with the best experience possible. And during this live feed, as I said, we will share real-time images collected with our telescopes. The Virtual Telescope project has been around for almost 20 years now. We will celebrate our 20th birthday next summer, next year, so we are very happy for this. And over these 2 decades, we have been bringing to you the most spectacular astronomical events. And tonight, as I said, we are happy to bring to you this interesting full moon, the largest full moon of the year, the second supermoon of 2025. I want to thank the technological partners of the Virtual Telescope project, and they are Software Bisque, C-Web, and Telescope Live. That said, my friends, I want to start sharing with you some images collected with one of our robotic telescopes. So let me see if I can share our telescope. I am in Rome right now, and my telescopes, part of the Virtual Telescope project facility, are installed under the beautiful starry sky of Manciano in the Maremma, in the beautiful Tuscany region, in a wonderful countryside scenario, I must say. So this is the feedback from the console controlling our the telescope we will be using tonight. So I want to start sharing with you the first image. As you can see here, we have a star map. Here it is. And as you can see, there are many stars. And first of all, above all, we have the full moon. The full moon is still in the east side of our sky here in Italy. We are in the first hours of the evening, and by definition, the full moon rises at sunset. So the sun sets in the western direction, and the full moon, while the sun is setting, is rising in the opposite direction, the eastern direction. This at sunset, and we are already a few hours after sunset. This is why the moon is so high. I also, let me see if I can share with you also images of the telescopes we are operating right now. Perhaps this will add some realism to the experience. Let me see if I can share with you this image, my friends. Maybe this is the window. Here it is. Okay. These are the 2 telescopes operating right now. Perhaps the light you see all around, so strong, is typical of daylight. Trust me, this is the moonlight, so intense that the telescopes are visible so well, like in broad daylight. But that is broad moonlight, I would say, broad full moon, broad super moonlight. And during when the night is really dark, you really can barely see the telescope, just to give you an idea. And we are going to use the telescope on the left, which is already pointing the moon. Then I will also try to use the telescope on the right to provide a larger field of view image. Let me say that supermoon is not an astronomical term. It has nothing to do with the science, with astronomy, but it's a winning popular term which is very successful, just describing something of interest, I must say. What is a supermoon? Keep in mind that the moon is orbiting around our own planet, and it takes almost 1 month to our moon to complete an orbit around the Earth. And this orbit is not a perfect circle, it is an ellipse. It's a bit eccentric, so there are moments along the orbit. Sometimes the moon is closer to the Earth, sometimes it's farthest. And when we are around the minimum distance, when the moon is around the closest point of its orbit to the Earth, the so-called perigee, of course, it will be a bit closer and also a bit larger. When a full moon, I must say even a new moon, but the new moon is not visible from the Earth unless you have a solar eclipse. When a full moon happens while the moon is also very close to the perigee, that is, the full moon happens when the moon is basically at the minimum distance from the Earth, this is what it is called a supermoon. Nothing to do, I repeat and underline with the astronomical science, but still a very interesting term describing this fact. Okay, I say a bit closer, not hugely closer. And the difference is a few percent. And tonight, having the closest full moon of the year, the closest supermoon of the 3 expected this year, the moon is about 7% larger, closer and larger than the typical average moon. The moon on average is a bit more than 384,000 kilometers far away from us, and tonight the moon is about 7% closer than that. This is why it is also 7% larger and of course even a bit brighter. But I'm pretty sure that nobody will know the difference. It's truly a modest difference, so it's just something that we know by numbers, but for sure not because we can recognize that, my friends. Now let me start taking a picture. Being the moon that bright, I had to use, I would say, sunglasses in order to have an image of the moon. Our telescopes are perfect basically to image very faint astronomical objects, and the brightest full moon of the year is not exactly the object those telescopes are expecting to image. They are just the full moon is dazzling for our telescope and very sensitive devices. This is why I just introduced a filter. That's it. Let's take the picture. It's a very short exposure, and this is the first image. I think that you will not love this image. It's very hard to believe that this is somehow a supermoon. But let me adjust some basic parameters. Let me exploit the full dynamic of this image. The image is always the same. I'm just adjusting these settings in order to fit what I have here. Here we are. I love how the moon reveals itself at some point. So my friends, I'm proud to share with you via the Virtual Telescope project the Beaver Supermoon. Right now, beavers are preparing to face the upcoming winters. This is why, by traditions of our American friends, this is called the Beaver Supermoon. And I really hope that you enjoy this image. I want to underline this. This image was collected just a few seconds ago. When I clicked on this button here, I will do this again, and of course I will have a new image. It's impossible to recognize because the new image is actually was shown instead of the previous one. But if you look here, you can see a number 4906. It's the number of the image. If I take a new one, you should see the last number being 7. How beautiful! You can recognize the darker areas, the so-called the Maria, the lunar seas, but you cannot swim there. Be careful if you want to swim on the moon. And this is the supermoon we are just describing. Let me now ask the other telescope to point. Let me see if I can share with you the slewing. Okay, I will ask the telescope on the right now to slew to the moon. You can see the telescope moving in real time. The magic of the virtual telescope project and the magic of technology. And now let me see if I can take I have a very sensitive lens I would like to use. A very sensitive camera, sorry. Here it is, so I can also show you this other view of the moon. Just going to share the other telescope back to the previous moon while I work to share with you the other image. Here we are. Okay. Let me share with you the other image, a much larger view on the moon. This is why the satellite is showing is much smaller, because this is I would say a much more panoramic lens than the telescopes I was using earlier. I also want to share with you a few images I collected over the years of past supermoons observed from Rome, framing the moon with the best legendary monuments of the eternal city where I live, and I hope you will appreciate all these views. You can see Sant'Angelo Castle on the bottom left with the supermoon, with a past supermoon rising. These are from our archives. I managed to make all those images. This is St. Peter Dome with a full moon just behind some interesting clouds. Let me share the new image with you. Here it is. Here it is, another very beautiful past supermoon from Rome, just behind the legendary St. Peter Dome, my friends. This is another earlier moment from the same morning. This was a supermoon, December 2017. I really love when I can frame the moon with those beautiful, wonderful landscapes. This is the one I love more, and to be honest, this is the supermoon image I really love more among those part of my collection. A few more images. I don't know if you have been in Rome, perhaps you can recognize some monuments. This is another supermoon a few summers ago, hanging above the building, the residence of Italian president. You can likely recognize the Italian flag there. And here you can easily recognize the legendary Colosseum. This is a past total eclipse happening behind the Colosseum. I really love, as I say, framing the full moon with some precious monuments. Also this one is to me very, very beautiful, and one of the most iconic images I ever collected, at least for me, has been this, my friends. So I wanted to bring to you the flavor of this beautiful astronomical show. As I say, nothing to do with the science, but still to me a very rewarding experience. Every time the full moon is around, I always invite people to go out and enjoy, particularly at sunset, because by definition of full moon, the full moon rises exactly when the sun sets. And that is very beautiful, because not only you can see the moon, the full moon, slowly leaving, clearing from the horizon, but you can also enjoy the landscape thanks to the residual light from the twilight, and the vision, at least for me, is always very, very beautiful, my friends. Thank you, Niels, for your appreciation. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I want to underline that the pictures with the ROM on the bottom of the moon are from our archives, while this one is the actual super moon, and I want to take another picture. If I increase the exposure time, you will see the moon too bright. We are losing plenty of details here because too much light. It's blinding the camera. Just to show you that these are real images, my friends. I think you trust me, but you know, it's always nice to fiddle a bit with these devices. Now, back to the shorter, faster exposure. And let me also show you the other telescope here. Okay, here we are with the other image. Okay. Oh, sorry for the confusion. I was displaying something without nothing interesting. Okay. Here it is, our full moon. Of course, I want here to show you the full disk, but we are using such a high resolution camera that very likely we can also see some details. I must say that tonight there is some turbulence in the night sky, so it's not the crisp sight possible, but still I believe a rewarding view. While we are approaching the end of this live feed, I want to remind you that you can support the Virtual Telescope project. As you can see, we offer every live feed for free. We will never ask for money to join these live feeds. I think that everyone has the right to enjoy the universe where we live. We belong to this universe. So as an astrophysicist, I will always do my very best to provide this free access, okay? But you are invited to consider supporting our project, because while we are offering all these things for free, it does not mean that they are free for us. There are bills to be paid, there are maintenance to keep this advanced project up and running, so you are welcome if you want to contribute. I also want to tell you that November the 17th, we will share live, no less, my friends, no less than the very famous now interstellar comet 3 High Atlas. We will do something very unique, offering you the opportunity to join, of course for free, exactly like tonight. You can learn more on our website www.virtualtelescope.eu. If you want to support us, please visit virtualtelescope.eu/donate. That said, my friend, I hope that you had some good time with us. Gianluca Masi from Rome, in thanking all of you for joining, for offering us some of your times to spend together. Sometimes almost half an hour, just with this beautiful companion of our own planet, the Earth. The beautiful companion, of course, is the moon, the supermoon, the Beaver Supermoon, the largest full moon of the year. Thank you very much, my friends, for joining. I wish you the very best. Gianluca Masi, Virtual Telescope Project, Italy.